The book that should never be opened. There are books meant to be read, and there are books meant to be forgotten. This is not a story about magic or demons. It is a story about curiosity and the price it demands. Salem found the book in his grandfather's basement, a place he was forbidden to enter as a child. The basement smelled of dust and old wood, and the silence inside it felt unnatural, as if the darkness was listening. In the far corner, beneath a broken shelf, lay a single book wrapped in cracked black leather. It had no title, no author, no symbol of any kind, only a faint sentence written on the first page. This book should never be opened. Salem laughed quietly. Old houses were full of dramatic warnings meant to scare children, but the moment his fingers touched the cover, a sharp, cold sensation ran through his hand. The book felt warm. He opened the next page. There were no stories, no paragraphs, no illustrations, only names, hundreds of them. Some were crossed out, some faded with age, others looked freshly written. His breath caught in his throat when his eyes stopped on a familiar name. His grandfather's name. Salem slammed the book shut and left the basement immediately. That night, sleep did not come easily. When it finally did, his dreams were filled with shadows. His grandfather stood in the doorway of his room, pale and hollow-eyed. "I wasn't the first," the old man whispered, "and you won't be the last." Salem woke up screaming. The next morning, he threw the book into a trash container far from his house. He didn't look back. But when he returned home that evening, the book was waiting for him. It lay on his desk, open. A new page had appeared. Written clearly in dark ink was a single name, Salem. From that moment on, nothing felt normal. Shadows moved when he stood still. Mirrors sometimes reflected a figure that lagged behind his movements. At night, whispers filled his room, crawling into his ears and his "open to survive." Days passed as Salem resisted, but curiosity gnawed at him relentlessly. Finally, one night, he sat before the book and read the first real sentence inside. "Everyone who opens this book leaves something of themselves behind." The pages turned on their own. They showed memories, not stories, memories, his memories, moments from his childhood, secrets he had never told anyone, fears he had buried so deeply he had forgotten them himself. Then the pages changed. They showed things that had not happened yet. Blood on the floor, a dark locked room, screaming, and Salem alone, terrified, trapped. The final page revealed the truth. To close the book, another must open it. Salem understood then. The book could never be destroyed. It could only be passed on. The next day, his friend Mason came to visit. The book rested quietly on the table between them. Mason stopped and stared at it. "That book feels strange," he said, "like it's calling me." Salem smiled. It wasn't a real smile. "Go on," he said calmly. "It's just a book." Hours later, Mason left the house pale and silent. The book remained on the table, closed. For the first time in days, Salem looked into the mirror and saw his reflection clearly. But he was not alone inside it anymore, and somewhere, waiting patiently, the book listened for the next curious hand to open it. Salem believed it was over. The book was closed, the whispers were gone, the shadows no longer moved on their own, but silence, he would soon learn, was only another form of waiting. Days passed, and Mason never answered his calls. His messages remained unread. At night, Salem began to notice small changes, details so subtle they almost felt imagined. His reflection blinked slower than he did. Sometimes, When he turned away from a mirror, he could still feel something watching him from the glass. One evening, Salem heard a soft sound coming from the table. In the next video, we will continue the story.